All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Okay. Did everyone or everybody in the process of doing that step up on the overhead or in the process of doing that? Great. Well, while you're doing that, let me go ahead and begin. Couple things. Let's see. Last week for the in-class lab, we went over multiple websites on landscape, and you were supposed to, and I didn't have you do this, submit your thoughts on landscape. What I'd like you to do to save time is just go into last week, which is week 9, is that correct? Week 9 in class, and just put in your name, submit your name in the submission area to where I can give you grades for the in class last week. That would be great. After you do this step here, go ahead and do that step. So we'll get that done at the first of class. Tonight we're going to look at your landscape photos, just your hand-picked selection. And I've looked at a few of them already on your website. They look really good. So I figured I'd let you guys pick the ones you like or the one you like and post it, and we'll look at that. We'll also announce here in a second the photography studio coming up here pretty quick. We're in week 10. I believe it's in a couple weeks, the photography studio. We'll look on the schedule here in a second. But that's the one where you invite family, friends to Rock Valley for the session we're in here, and we're going to meet in the middle of the building and bring in a lighting utilities, and we'll show you the week before, actually, on week 11. Next week, I believe, we go over lighting. Next week's week 11, we go over lighting. Week 12 is the week following, where you do the actual photography portrait lab. And so be inviting folks. It's going to be meeting the same time slot. We'll start at 7:30 for the photo lab, and we always go ahead and take photos of kids and animals first. Animals are welcome to the photo shoot, by the way. And next week I'll talk more about props and stuff that you can bring for your photo shoot. But it's always a lot of fun. I have you guys bring snacks to the photo shoot. There'll be music playing when the folks come in. Last semester, an Iraqi vet just got back that night. Kids didn't know it, and the mom was in the class, and dad come walking in and had 2 little boys and had a great photo shoot that night. All the students were just teary-eyed, but everybody had some great photos for that photo shoot. So we've had every semester, usually somebody brings a pet like a dog or a cat, or we had a lizard a couple semesters ago, a frog. So you're welcome to bring pets. For kids and pets, folks that have kids and pets, we take their photos first. If you don't have anyone or nobody on your list that says they'll come, there'll be plenty of folks to take photos of while you're here during that session. The way I set up the room is, there's a divider in between the room, and we'll have one light on each side, and basically have a backdrop. I think one's like a woodsy backdrop, the other one's like just a plain black backdrop. And I'll encourage you guys next week to kind of remind you to bring props for kids if they come, or animals, or even yourself, to make more of a natural looking photo. So if the person likes to play guitar, I've had students bring in the people that are taking photos of, bring in their guitar. I've had them bring in, one person loved to read a lot. They took photos of this person reading during the photo shoot. And so, just be creative on your thoughts. We'll talk more about it next week, but you can be inviting folks. That would be great. Does everybody have the email address where I can take this screen down for just a second? Everybody have this written down, or you jot it down somewhere where I can take this down for just a second? I'll give you a second to write it down real quick if you haven't written it down, so I can go on and talk about what we're going to be doing tonight and next week. Yes? Oh, after this, go to last week, week 9, in-class lab. Just submit your name.
Unless you already did. Unless you actually did.
What is it?
Unless you actually did vote something, right?
If you wrote something, you're good. Yeah, but I just need something in there.
Yeah, 'cause I know.
So yeah, you could put content in there for sure besides your name, but yeah, I need something in there to grade that you were here.
Okay.
So that'd be great.
Right.
No, just put your name in there right now. Yeah, definitely. Okay, does everybody have the email written down for sure? At least that, so I can take this slide down for a second? Okay. All right, well, let me go ahead real quick, and I want to jump ahead to next week and the week after, just for calendar stuff coming up. Okay, so we're in week 10. We're going over macro photography this week. Week 11, let's bring up the in class for week 11. Umbrella lights. Umbrella lights we're going to bring in for week 11. And so we'll practice using, I have 2 sets of umbrella lights. We'll put it up in the corner of the room. We will practice taking photos of each other. And that's a lot of fun. And so you'll be able to take photos. We'll put you in groups of 3 or 4, and you'll practice taking photos of each other in a portrait setting. We'll talk about light positioning. We'll also talk about camera positioning, camera settings when it comes to portraits on next week. And I believe you're choosing your final topic next week. We're starting to talk about it anyway. Your take home next week is experimenting with different light sources at your house. So lamps, spotlights, Chinese lights, car lights, flashlights, candles, and playing with your ISO on that one. But we are starting to talk about your final, choosing your final next week. And we'll actually, you can peek ahead in that one if you want to between now and then. This final.pdf goes over all the professions you could choose from. The portfolios, I have a sampling of them up here anyway from the prior semesters that some of you have looked at already. You'll be creating a portfolio, and in the portfolio we'll have the photos that you have selected. Here's a good one here by Miko from fall 2011. He's got his DVD in here, has a resume, then he has his thumbnails of all the photos he took, and then he's got his 3 to 5 8x10 glossies in the back. And so that's going to be your final portfolio that everyone will be doing. And you'll be starting to look at that next week and choosing what topic or what profession. You can choose up to 2 professions for photography. So like nature and portrait, or maybe sports and macro or something like that, or retail and real estate. You will be using for your final portfolio and final project something to create a DVD from your slideshow. It can be iMovie, iDVD, it can be Picasa, a number of different platforms you can create these from, and we'll go over all of that. I'll also help you with creating a resume if you've never created one of those, starting in week 11. Now let's jump to week 12. Week 12 is Portrait Lab. Bring friend or family member, or both, friend and family member. You can invite as many folks as you want to, more the merrier. You'll be meeting that night. We won't be meeting here, we'll be meeting over there. I'll tell you the room, it's like 141, 142. You will upload your photos that week to week 10 portraits. I take it back, week 12 portraits. At least 10 of them you're going to upload to week 12. So that's fun. Then I believe right after week 12, we go right into working on your final portfolio from here on there on out. So week 12 is your portrait. Week 13, you work on your final portfolio. I believe we are not here the week after week 13. Between week 13 and 14 is Thanksgiving, so that's where the spot is there between dates. We come back on December 3rd. That's when you give your presentation. And so really pretty, you can actually begin working on them. Starting week 11, you'll actually start working on your own on gathering photos for your final portfolio. And your photos that you gather can be new photos from this semester or old photos you've had already that you've taken prior to taking this class. Okay? So that's what we're doing from here on out to the end of the semester. And the portfolios are a lot of fun to make. Students enjoy doing it. You guys will have fun doing that. So did everybody get the landscape photos? And you also have last week's in-class done, right? You put your name in there for me? Cool. Well, let's look at this week's or last week's landscape real quick. I just want to look and see what you guys submitted here. I think I've got it. Oh, cool. There we go. We got 24 views so far, so let's go ahead and bring these up. I'll do a slideshow, it'll be easier. We'll just do a slideshow and look at them. And I'm going to see if I can pause this and bring it out a little bit. I want to stretch it just to here. So you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. All right. Really good lighting so far, and placement of your subjects is really good. And your objects placement. Good photo. Cool. Good job. So it looks like you guys had fun with the landscape. And landscape is one of those types of photography that, you know, as with everything you've done this semester, the more practice you have, the better you'll get. You know, landscapes can be like with this one here, you know, you got a lot of, even with the clouds and the moving of the clouds, the dark clouds. I'm glad you took this one, whoever took this one, because it shows, you know, a lot of times as a new photographer, you want to take a photo on a bright sunny day, and you don't want to take one in dark clouds, and, you know, it kind of adds character and dimension to your photos, so good job. All right, well, let's go to this week, starting in macro. Macro is also a fun topic to learn in photography. And macro is basically the art of close-up photography. And the word macro, blowing up or coming up close to something. And so in week 10, we're going to be looking at that. Let me advance over. And if yours did not show up on the photos, you can definitely look at this later after class. I want you to definitely look at each other's photos. And some of you have been posting stuff on Facebook. You can continue to do that. The Facebook page is on our homepage. You can just like it and start posting stuff. That would be great. And by the way, a lot of photographers now use Facebook to promote their photo shoots, whether it be high school yearbook photos or whether it be a wedding, whatever. So it's a good spot to actually post photos, and it's free and it doesn't cost anything. So, all right. So macro photography we're going to talk about. And specifically using what's called a light box here is what we're going to talk about first. And I'll bring a light box next week to where you can play with macro photography in a light box. And basically, it's putting an object in a box that has lights on both sides of it. And so you're isolating the object, and then you're able to take a photo of it and make it very crisp and make it close up to where it's a powerful object or a powerful photo. And so the whole object of macro photography is to highlight assets of a photo that no other angle can get but a macro. And so macro photography fits well with insects, flowers, biology, with medical. Anything medical has macro photography built into it, into the science of it. And if you've never taken a macro shot, you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of cool photos you can take with macro photography, and we'll look at some tonight. So let's go to page 2 here. So macro photography allows you to take close-up pictures of basically anything. The mouse that's in front of you on your desk, you can take a macro of. In fact, we'll practice a little bit doing that tonight. It's amazing to look at these extremely close-up photos of insects or flowers or anything that's macro, like the eye of a fly or something. And sometimes on macro photography, you don't know what it is until you read the caption of the photo. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But looking at it, you're like, wow, what is that? And so here is some why or how you take macro photography. Like any other photo that you take, I want you to simplify the process. Fill the photo with a subject. This is unlike rule of thirds. I guess it blows in the face of rule of thirds, I guess. Macro photography does. Macro photography, you do want to fill the entire screen with the object, okay? So rule of thirds is out of the picture here for the most part on macro. Also, you want the focus to be as sharp as possible. You might have to shift your camera to manual mode, possibly, depending on the lighting that you're taking during the time. But automatic mode works most of the time. I'd say 60% of the time it will work fine. But you might have to turn off auto mode and actually manually focus, possibly. Try shooting from different angles, so not just directly on top of, say, a flower or an insect or a water drop, but maybe shooting from an angle to the sides, left and right, getting right on the ground. If you're looking for deep saturation of colors, use front lighting. And so if I'm taking a picture of a flower on the ground in front of me, the sun will be behind me, shining on the flower and reflecting off of it to give a more reflective look. And by the way, macro photography is one of those where early morning, if you're taking outside macro anyway, is the best time. Earlier, if you're not early morning, which I know you're a college student, most of you aren't, but force yourself to go to bed early one night or stay up all night. Don't go to bed and take one around, right when the sun comes up. It's perfect time. Also, if you like to bring out the texture in your subject, side lighting is a way to go. Make sure the sun's coming from the side view. Due to a narrow depth of field, the background will always be thrown out of focus, and it should be. So if you have, for instance, you're taking a photo of a flower on the ground, and this is going to be a very crude drawing of a flower, and then behind it is, say, some mountains and maybe a road or something coming behind it. This will all be blurred, and this will be sharp and focused right here. Okay, and that's normal in macro photography. You want it to be blurred in the background. So it'll allow the natural background to be a nice backdrop. Make sure you don't have anything distracting in the background that's recognizable, like branches, cigarette butts, things like that. Because when you get to macro level, you see stuff that maybe you don't see from a distance, like cigarette butts. So just kind of pick up around it, make sure it's nice and clean before you take the shot. Examples, these are just real simple examples. Another one you could throw in here is some coffee beans, throwing coffee beans on a table, a white table, and taking pictures of those coffee beans up close. Pencil erasers, flower, insect, just some crude examples of macro photography that looks really cool close up. Then light box, and we'll be playing with one of these next week actually. You can buy one like I've done, or you can make one your own. A light box is basically used in macro photography to take an object and that you want to take a macro photo of, say little figurines, like say little G.I. Joes or little cars, and you want to put it in a cityscape type of look with buildings and cars, and believe it or not, there is jobs you can actually get doing that, of creating models of towns and things of that nature, like for architecture. You don't have to be an architect, you can actually be the person creating the towns for the architects. Might be something to think about. But anyway, say you want to take a photo of that, you put it in a little box, put all your little figurines or whatever that you want to take a photo of in this black box, and take a photo of it. The other things people use it for is eBay sales of little trinkets, jewelry, whatever. Insects, small objects, things of that, like a rare coin or something. You'll see macro photography a lot taken with small objects. Here's what it looks like. This is a homemade version, which is basically just a cardboard box, white sheet of paper. Well, first of all, cardboard box, two square holes cut off the side here, then a square hole at the top, and then the paper is right up here in the corner and kind of comes down this way. And it has a cell phone here they're taking a photo of. And so that's a real cool, and there's a link in the PDF for this week's reading on showing you how to do it. It's not real difficult to do. You can do it. It's pretty simple. Or you can go to Walmart or Photocraft and buy one that looks like this. It's about $20 for that. Comes with two lights. Comes with everything. Comes with a handle to hold it. It's all self-enclosed. And I've used it quite a bit for small objects and macro photography. And it's really easy to use. And so next week, if you can make note to yourself, if you have a little, last semester a student had a collection of he collected toy soldiers or something. Or he had little toy soldiers he collected and brought them in, and everybody took photos of them and during the lighting lab. So if you have some little trinkets, little objects like that, antique or whatever, if you don't mind bringing those next week, let everybody practice taking photos of that. Go ahead and bring it. That'd be great. Here's just a close-up of mine outside on a table with the lights on both sides of it. And it has in there, I've got in there a brooch, it looks like, taking a photo of one. And you basically just put the camera into macro mode. And by the way, the macro mode on your camera looks like a flower for most of your cameras. You turn it on, you experiment moving the lights around, and you take it from different angles. You maybe turn one light off, one light on. So you just kind of play around with it, see what looks the best. The reason they put a blue background, you might have heard of blue screening, possibly, that term blue screening. If you take this photo, because it does have a blue screen background, you can put anything you want to as a background in Photoshop post-production. Okay. In fact, I used to have an app. I might see if I can find it. I haven't used it in about 2 years. But it was actually a blue screen app for my Mac that you could actually have anybody sitting at a table. And I used it for like news production for students one semester. And they could sit at a table, and you could literally, you know how like on the 23 News or whatever, they have these little things up here by their head while they're talking about whatever. This app does that. And so this actually, the blue screen will let you superimpose anything behind it in post-production. And so pretty simple. Now, going on further, for the end class, we're going to look at some examples of really cool macro photography. Those photos from last week, I really love those examples. These are some other stunning examples of macro photography. And before I forget, while I'm talking and we're discussing this, we're going to have you post in here what is cool about macro photography, what settings can be used to take macro photography. So I've already mentioned a couple settings. One is a macro setting. The other setting I talked about playing with on your camera is what? That you might have to turn from auto to manual. Anybody remember? What is it? Focus, yeah, focus. So macro photography setting, that's a macro mode, and focus so far, but we'll talk about more. So make sure and answer those so I can give you a grade for that. So let's look at some examples while we're talking about this. You can be posting your answers and looking at it. So this is 35 examples of stunning macro photography. It says here in the first paragraph, it's macro photography is also called close-up photography. Compared to other types of photography, macro photography is quite difficult because of the nifty equipment, which you can get expensive equipment for macro photography. Like for instance, an example, I used to work for a pathologist. When I was 18, I was a courier for a pathologist at a 300-mile route every day, and I would come back at the end of the day, and one of his jobs, if you know anything about pathologists, is they have to basically dissect anything post-mortem. So person has cancer of the brain. I would watch him as I was unloading my stuff, slice a brain, and then blow it up with a macro type of device that he could see that even, down to the cellular level of a slice of a brain. And he would say stuff like, this person didn't use this part of the brain their whole life. He'd say, I remember one time, I was 18 years old, so I remember it. He goes, because we've all heard of how we only use 3% of our brain or something. And the brain was totally black on one side of this brain. I don't want to gross anybody out. And I won't talk about blood or anything. I've already grossed some of you out already. But it's Halloween, okay? So anyway, it was all dark, kind of dark. It wasn't black, it was just dark. And this one side was real fleshy color. The other side was dark. And he came over and showed it to me and was saying that the dark side, or the dark part of the brain, which is the majority of it, was never used. And what it means, I asked him, how do you know that? When you don't use your brain, it does not receive oxygen like the parts of the brain you use all the time. So if you're studying a lot, or if you're researching a lot, or you're doing whatever, that part of the brain that you're using is constantly being fed not just blood flow, but also oxygen. And so that's why it looks healthy. It actually looks healthy. But the part that you don't use is dark, gloomy, and kind of blah. Yeah?
We actually use 100% of our brains, like to improve using PET scans.
Do I know? What was that?
If you use we use 100% of our brains. If you put someone in a PET scan and have them do different tasks,
yeah.
Not 100% of your brain is working
right.
the same amount at any given time, but you do use 100%.
So are you talking about like on the sleep thing? The sleep...
Like you can use it when sometimes they use it for sleep studies, but
right, sleep studies.
Measure the amount of electrical activity.
Brain activity.
Parts of the brain.
Yeah. That's what he was talking about was there's, not that our brain's dead, but if we don't use it as much, then, exactly. And so I was just kind of fascinated by that. It has nothing to do with macro photography except for the fact that he did blow this up with a microscope and showed it to me, which does have anything to do with macro photography. But, the cameras that you guys have are plenty good enough for macro photography for what we're doing. So you can have anything from a point and shoot to high end. But believe me, there's lenses you can buy for macro photography. Just the lenses itself, I'm thinking of one is about $5,000 for one lens for photography, for like National Geographic or for some medical type of camera. So we're not getting into that, but it can be quite expensive. So when it says difficult, it's not difficult, but it can be quite expensive if that's all you do for a living is macro photography. Okay, so let's look at these creative, inspirational stunning macro photography photos. Okay, cool. Here we go. First one up the docket. Pretty cool, right? Let me see if I can. I'm going to just blow up my screen instead of go click back and forth. Let me just do that, see if this works for us. And the second example is kind of what the student brought last semester, by the way, that I'll bring up here. Okay, so first example. Some of you have fish tanks, actually. You can take macro shots of fish in your fish tank easily as well by getting a camera close to the fish as they are coming close to the glass. Some of you might have lizards, some of you might have snakes. You can do the same thing. Yeah, you can actually do it. Best time is not morning, is definitely not the best time on that. When the sun is set, low lighting in your house, just maybe the lighting from the inside of your tank, and that's all you need, no flash. You should be good on that.
Saw that my overexcited goldfish.
Yes. Okay, here's kind of what the student brought last semester. Now, can you tell by the background what this is on? What the background is of this picture? Yeah, a car hood. It's got the car hood and the doors open up a little bit. But these are kind of like the figurines he brought last semester. His was like G.I. Joe type, soldiers, but had all different types of soldiers that he brought in, and different, furniture, motorcycles, Jeeps, helicopters. So that's kind of cool. I mean, to me, it's kind of cool taking photos like that, macro photography. An old, beat up soccer ball, squished on the top. Not real good in macro, but it's kind of cool. Not real good close up. I mean, it's close as you can get to that soccer ball. Now here's kind of cool here. This is actually a flower in a drop of water. A reflection of a flower in a drop of water. That's pretty cool. And early morning, by the way, regardless where you live, you will get some dew, even this time of year, early morning, that will rest on flowers and also on trees, leaves and things of that nature that you can actually get shots. Stuff like this might be a little bit more difficult to get, but pretty cool. The eye of a gecko. Close-up of that. This is a close-up of a eyelash, eyeshadow, a bunch of glitter. This is water drops on a flower or on a leaf, kind of a lavender. And I don't know if that lavender is actually the color of the leaf or it's just a reflection of the light that's surrounded that. I have no clue, but pretty cool, right? To me, I don't know, I'm fixated a little bit with macro photography as it pertains to natural water in the photo, like this. Natural drops, natural perspiration, whatever. I think that's kind of cool. I even think it's cool when you have macro photography close up of, photos like this where you have natural droplets and then the reflection that from those droplets is what I think is really cool. Close-up insect shot. Now there is some movement actually in this one. You can see it's kind of blurred a little bit, and that's okay. Especially on a live shot like this, you're going to get blurred. And by the way, don't feel bad if you have to do post-production on your macro shots. That's common, okay? You say, well, when could you do that, or when would you need that? Well, let's just say, for an example, in this picture, that none of this was blurred for whatever reason. It just didn't work. It didn't work right. It didn't blur. All right, which normally in a macro it will blur, but let's say it didn't. In post-production, you could select this part of the picture with a polygonal lasso tool and do a Gaussian blur on this layer easily in post-production. And you can, by the way, do that in Pixlr. You don't need to use Photoshop for that. You can do it in Pixlr. And it does have Gaussian blur filter for that. Here we go, another close-up. This one's not real close, but it's kind of cool. Winter blues is what they call this one. So again, it's got the water drops, reflection of light. It looks like the light source on this one's actually coming from this side over here, shooting down. They called this one the cold miner. On the skin of an individual. Close up. Pretty scary up close, right? This one's pretty sweet. I like this one. Pretty simple, right? Kind of a polka dot table with a spoon on top of it. Macro photography. Pretty cool. I like the simple ones of macro. I think it's really cool. Just the simple thoughts, simple ideas usually have the coolest outcome. Just some paper up close. I don't know really if it's a macro per se, but it does look cool. Treble clef, for those of you that take music, you know what I'm talking about. So a natural treble clef of a snail. Pretty cool. Again, just some note on this one. You'll notice the background is all blurred again. We know it's blurred in this photo, but was anything done in post-production? It could be. Could be some post-production on this one too as well. Close-up again of an insect. Ant is the next one here. That one's pretty cool. And I don't know if that's a water drop. It looks like a water drop. It could be a sugar drop. Ants like sugar. I don't know. Another snail on this one. Looks like a snail. Yeah, that was pretty cool. This is a close-up of an old pair of tennis shoes. Some Van tennis shoes. Spider. Curved is what they called this one. Movement of water, pretty cool. I like that. So as the water's being poured, snapping that and taking a picture of that. Yeah, a lot to get that make it look just like that. A lot. Just a picture of a guitar pick close up on a guitar string. That's pretty cool. And a drop of water getting ready to hit the water. Looks like one's already hit it. That's pretty sweet. I like that. Again, that one probably took some time to get that.
I've seen some people that's like the only kind of pictures they take, and the ones that they really like is when you get the peak coming back out of the water.
Right, the bounce.
And then you hit the water drop hits that.
Right.
So you get the mushroom effect.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
They pretty much set up their camera to just automatically take pictures every so often. They just leave the water drip and they adjust the lighting and everything.
Yep.
Where they need it.
Yep. Yeah, those are pretty cool. This is it looks like some type of underground flower, maybe underwater flower, some type. This is a close-up of a bungee cord or bungee cords. Some more droplet type photos that we just talked about. Something ugly. It looks almost like a guinea pig or something, but I know it's not. It's probably like a fly. It's probably a fly, I'm guessing, or a bee or something. I don't know. Doesn't say what the insect is on this one. That was pretty cool. Now, if you think about it, what's wrong with that picture? What do you see? What's kind of, well, not wrong, I guess, let's look at that one real quick. Okay, it's got the rose going towards the water. Looks like it might be coming out of the water, been in the water, come out of the water, and then this droplet up here is up in the air. I mean, that's some major effects. To that one there, fast shutter speed, to get that to look in stop motion like that. A lot of shots. I don't know how many shots I had to take to get that. And also, too, you don't know, this could be post-production, too, up here. Some of these photos could all be, some post-production, we don't know. But it still looks cool. Spider with an egg case. Red-eye tree frog. That's pretty sweet. Hoverfly. Pseudo-scorpion. They call this one gear. I guess it looks like gears. The flower petals look like gears. Beauty of rust. A close-up of an old rusty chain. So just stuff you have around the house, stuff you have around your workplace. You can take a macro of just about anything. Droplets of water on blades of grass. Now this one, you have to get very close to the object, which we'll talk about in just a second. There's little tips for you. Another insect with droplets. The eye of a cat. Dew droplet. Mothership. Now, these are marbles with earth in the actual marbles on a bed of sand. Getting stuck in is the call of this one. So, then it goes on into some macro photography tutorials that are really cool. So basically what I want to talk about now is as far as tips and tricks to help you with macro photography. This goes over a whole bunch of tutorials, but I don't want to go into lenses and stuff for you. But I do want to give you some tips and tricks that'll help you. So first thing is, get your cameras out. We want to find for sure that you know where your macro setting is on your camera, which it should be the little flower icon. Yeah.
Some of those photos, like the background was black, is that like post-production?
Yeah. Like I said, any of these photos, he had a good question about one of the ones that had the black background. A lot of these, I'm not going to say they are, it doesn't say, but they're probably more likely going to be post-production type stuff. And that's normal in macro photography, you're going to see that. So let's bring your camera out. I'm going to come around to make sure you know where your macro setting is on your camera. And then I'm going to have you actually take a practice shot of the mouse that's on your desk. And I want you to kind of lean it. Basically, you'll take your blue. Does everybody have the blue, this blue thing? The blue mouse pad? What I want you to do is kind of take your blue mouse pad and lean it maybe against the wall of your cubicle there, like that. Right? And then take your mouse and kind of lean it in sideways to where it's kind of leaned like this on the mouse. And then you'll use your macro photography setting, your macro. Leave your focus at auto, set it to macro. And the way macros work is you want to get that camera lens initially as close as possible to the mouse, in this case the object, and then slowly back up. Press the shutter speed halfway down to get the focus in. When it steadies up that focus and you see the back of the blue, the little yellow colors here, and the words here start being blurred, you're ready to take the shot. When you see the words start being blurred a little bit, you're ready to take the shot. So go ahead and practice that, and I'll just kind of come around and make sure you, number one, know where your macro setting is. Go up to the very top. I thought aspect.
No, that's just the size.
Large, medium, okay. Go to, keep going down, go to camera options. No. Okay. Go to image adjustments. Contrast saturation. Aspect and resolution. Let's go to that. That was the one we just went to. I would say just you do it in the auto mode then on yours. And you can still get the blur effect if you get close enough to that object. I believe you're still going to be able to trick it and do it. Yeah, and you can do a post too. You're right. Okay, you know where yours is at? Okay, cool. Okay. It's all right. I'll find it and then I'll show you. All right. So you got your menu. There's your recording scene. Oh, you have all different types of scenes too. I forgot. Do what now?
It says it's like the left this one, but I don't think
Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna hit menu again. Okay, left button right now on this setting anyway goes continuous mode. But again, that might be the. Let's see. You've got it set on the very top one. Let's move it to. You have movie quality, still in. Okay, still image. Let's go to programming. Shoot images with background defocus. I think this is it here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna use if I couldn't find it. Was that background defocus?
That one right there. That's the one I would use.
Yeah, okay. That's
Yep. Try that one. See how that works with your mouse. Okay, how's the mouse shots coming out? You able to get the blurred image or the blurred text at least a little bit? It's kind of tricky when you first play with it.
I can get the blur to text.
You couldn't get it to text? The text to blur? Here, do this. I know it's kind of tricky, but you might have to move the text a little. Yeah, let's try that right there. And all I want, let me put the mouse a little bit. I'm gonna put that text a little bit further away from the mouse a little bit further away from the text. Now, I think that might do it. Yeah. Oh yeah, right there. Yep, that did it. Cool. Yeah, if you turn the mouse pad like this, it worked for him, like a triangle, right? And then go like this, and then put the mouse right on the end of the mouse pad, then the words blur after you do an autofocus. Okay, you know where yours is? Got it? Okay, cool. You got yours? Cool. Oh, it died earlier? Okay. Oh, I like that. No, that's all right. The keyboard's blurred. The keyboard's blurred on that one. You know what? You can actually practice, too, taking a macro of one of the keys on your keyboard and blurring out the other keys. So maybe like focusing on, let's say, one of the, the lower letters, like say maybe a B or N in the middle of the keyboard, and blurring out the ones behind that row of keys. You can practice that as well. Over here. Cool. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I like it.
it'd be $1 to look at.
Looks good. Looks good. And you know where your macro is, evidently? Okay, good. It's basically just steady hands, creative on the, yeah, on this one. Let's move this like this. I want the text to be like so. Okay, boom. Right there. Now put the camera literally on the table. Put the camera on the table. And then closer, 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 closer. You might have to tilt up just a little bit, the camera. And then you have it on macro mode.
It's
Keep
an
moving.
auto. You don't want me to have it in auto?
Do what now?
It's an auto. Auto setting.
Oh, you want it to be on macro mode.
The little flower is on this.
Yeah,
symbol.
you're gonna have a good one here though too.
What is that a macro?
Yeah, it should say that's the kid. No, kids and pets snapshot landscape. No.
Maybe it doesn't have it.
I'm gonna go in manual mode, and we're going to go over left macro. Okay, now we're on macro mode. Manual macro is what you do on yours.
Could it be broken? I had the camera fixed once.
Looks like it might be low on battery. Okay, I'm gonna do macro. Let's focus on one of your keys here. Across your keyboard, let's try that.
If we get a close up and everything is sharp around, why do we really want to have it blurry around it?
What do you want? What now?
Blurry around that one, the center. Let's say we're gonna take a close picture of the keyboard.
Because you're
and color.
focusing on. You want the blur to be to distract from, or not to distract from the object. Basically, is what you're wanting on macro. That's the whole purpose of the blur. So let's look at that one I just took on the keyboard. That one all white. Let's turn your flash off. Bye-bye. Let's try it without the flash. And we're going to go close up. And I want to bring in the zoom a little bit. Your manual zoom. Okay, cool. Bring that baby in. There we go. It's really too far out on that one. It's 40 times zoom or something. Okay, cool, right there. Still too close.
Should we try the other camera? This one doesn't work.
Yeah, that
That's
one.
right. I'm worried that it might not work properly, that macro thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to actually focus on that shift key. I'm going to focus on the shift key, and everything else we're going to blur out. There we go.
I haven't used it in a while. I don't know where it is.
Your play at.
Middle. Maybe in the middle. No.
No.
One of those. Right there. This one.
Let's go to the play mode.
Oh, the little arrow will show you the
Oh, okay.
pictures. Oh, yeah,
Oh, okay, cool. There it is. So shift is in focus and the control key is blurred and so is the return key a little bit. Cool. Yep.
I hadn't noticed, but like whenever I was shooting something
Yeah.
on macro, like it doesn't actually give me a green. I mean, if I get out here,
Right.
so
Are you in macro mode
yeah,
currently?
this is the close up, and so you select that part, and then like normally this would go
Yeah.
down there and turn macro mode on.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is nice and
Well, it'll force you to go out further then on yours. Are you set to autofocus? Probably so, I'm guessing. Yeah. And what mode are you on? Manual mode or what is it? Just the macro mode?
macro. Well, there's this auto mode.
Try the auto macro. Is that what you're doing? Yep. Let's try that. And turn your flash on, which it probably won't look that great, but we'll see here if at least lets you take it up close with the flash on. No, it's going to be a focusing on yours then. You can shift your camera a little bit like this way, just to here, and try that. Yeah, go down like table level. Like literally set your camera on the table and then tilt it just a hair and try to take it that way. And back it up just a hair. Keep going till it lets you take it. Let's do this. Yeah, turn that flash off. It's a lighting in here too, I think. So it's too dark. If you have better lighting, I think it would let you take it. I think it's actually the external lighting in here. I think it's a lighting in here, Jeff. It's gonna cause it. Yeah, the lighting in here, guys, will cause some of your cameras not to take the close-up of the mouse or the keyboard. But if you have better lighting than what's in this room, some of your cameras will not let you take it unless you back up to far enough to where the light's better to take the photo, if that makes sense. And so if you're having that happen, that's normal. So that's what I want you to do. Keep practicing. You're doing good. I saw some of the angles you were taking these at. Let's talk about your take home. And you guys did get the post for the 10-in class, right? You did that while we were talking earlier? Okay, cool. So the take home is you're going to upload 15 images to week 10 set of macro. I'm going to click on the macro take home PDF here. Loading. My macro file's corrupted. Hang on just a second. I have to re-upload a new one. keep practicing while I'm bringing up this PDF. I'll have to upload this one again, it looks like. Huh. Well, I know what it is. I'll have to re-upload it when I get home, I guess. That PDF's corrupted. So here's what it is on your macro take-home. You're basically going to take 15 photos of the 3 different settings, and so it's 5, 5, and 5, 3 different objects that you're taking a macro of. So it could be a flower, it could be a penny, it could be a rusty chain, like we looked at earlier. It could be coffee beans on a white table, whatever you want to be creative. Make sure your camera's in macro mode, auto focus. You might need to change it to manual, but more than likely with most of your cameras that came around, seemed like it was doing okay in auto. Lighting, though, is the most important in macro, as you can tell in the lab tonight, because the lighting here is terrible. So make sure, if you're going to doing it indoors, make sure it's a lot of light around the area that you're getting taking a macro of. If it's outdoors, same deal. Make sure, if it's early morning, that the sun's literally shining on the object, whether it be a flower, an insect, or whatever. And that's the main important thing on focus for this is lighting for macro, is to make sure that the lighting's perfect as possible. So if you can do it early morning, that'd be great. And again, 3 different types of photos, 3 different settings. So it could be a flower, it could be a penny, it could be a rusty nail, whatever. And then 5 and 5 and 5. Upload those 15 photos. And then next week, I'll have you send your favorite, as always. We'll do that again next week on Foki. And a reminder, be inviting folks for 2 weeks from tonight to the portrait studio. Next week, we'll be practicing the lighting in here. So if you do have a tripod, you can bring it next week. If you don't, I'm going to be bringing my tripods. But we'll be setting up in the corner of the room. I'll have a black backdrop. The 2 lights will be set up in the corner, and then you'll be practicing in groups taking portraits of each other, okay? And you'll have tons of fun. Yeah. And loads of fun. Now, let me just tell you this to not scare some of you about portraits. One of the people in your group will be volunteering to be the portrait person. Okay? Not everybody has to sit down and get your portrait taken then, okay? And there's usually one ham in the group that doesn't mind it, okay? And so, am I ham? Yeah, I don't mind. I'll do a few. I don't mind. And so, anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll also bring the light box next week, the black box for macro photography. So, questions on your take-home? 15 photos, upload them, have fun with it. Early morning's the best time for outdoors. If it's indoors, just make sure it's good lighting. Yes?
Okay, so you want 3 different subjects?
Yes, 3 different subjects.
5 photos of each subject?
5, 5, and 5.
And what differentiates one from the other?
What differentiates one from the other?
Yeah.
You can do different angles for each one. So you're going to have 5, 5, and 5.
You don't want different settings on the camera. You just look different, slightly different.
Correct. So you have 3 different objects, 5, 5, and 5, 5 for each object. And definitely do practice, like we talked about tonight, different angles of your macro. Okay, cool. All right, have fun, enjoy it. If you have any questions, come and see me. Yeah. No stupid questions. Oh, you can?
Keep coming up with the 2012 one. I don't think you want us to click to that one.
If you click on home, once it loads,
Did you? I looked and I got the
and then click
2012
here where it says Facebook page
Okay, oh, and home.
on the home page, and it goes
Okay.
right to digital photography.
Okay, because the digital photography one from last year is still up. Now we need to do a search.
Yeah, no, just literally click on Facebook page and it goes right
the
to,
home section.
yeah, facebook.com RBC Digital Photography is the site. Cool, that'd be great, thank you.